In Create What You Love this month, we are talking a lot about self-care, self-love, excuse me, taking the time for us. And so the themes that I use in Create What You Love class, I have been using across all of my social media and my website, just focusing on that topic all the way around. So it gives you guys a little taste of what we do in Create What You Love, but it also, you guys get a little bit of the topic. You don't get the full, you're not going to get all the information that we have in there because there's a lot of information. There's a lot of activities that we do, but it gives you a little bite. At least you kind of know what we're working on. And so with this month being self-love, one of the things that I do for self-love is to slow down. And sometimes whenever we're doing art, we are so focused on the final project. Like, what's the final project going to be? And how are we going to make that happen? What's the layout? What's all these things, right? We just kind of go through all these things. And one of my favorite things to do when I slow down is to just take scraps of paper, and these we in our Create What You Love, we work on this little kit that we have, and I've taken some papers from there to add some marks to, and so that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna wake up my watercolors here, my palette, and just kind of get everything moving. And so what I like to do is I just sit here and play in color basically, but I just do these little teeny dot marks on the papers, but it adds some interest. So it's twofold. I actually use these in my art, but it also is just a time for me to do nothing but play in the colors, slow down, just kind of enjoy myself. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I don't really think too much. I just sit here and add little marks. And a lot of times they're just these little teeny dashes. Let me zoom in a little bit for you here. There you go. I just sit here and add little marks. And I work on breath work. Sometimes I turn on a meditation. I really like to turn on meditations while I do this because I'm in that same mind frame of just zoning out, and so the meditation a lot of times accentuates that, and so I do love doing meditations with that. In the Create What You Love, we have a monthly meditation that my meditation coach creates for us, and then I also have some other ones that I love on YouTube and that kind of thing. They're easy to find. You can find meditations all over, but I like to go to YouTube, or I have the Calm app or Insight Timer, just finding what works for me for that day, and I just listen to them, or I listen to music or an audiobook. When I do this, I don't listen to anything that makes me think too much. Like, I listen to like lighthearted stories, just like easy reads, just to kind of zone out. Or I have some audiobooks that are affirmations, and so I'll just sit here and listen to those. One of my favorite things to do is to listen to Tina Turner chants. They're very meditative, and I love her voice. And so I'll listen to those sometimes. It just depends on my mood, and it's going to depend on your mood and what you enjoy. Sometimes you just want to zone out to music or to peace and quiet. Maybe you are a teacher in a classroom and all you crave is quiet. So I totally get it. So whatever it is that you like to listen to or do, that's what I would do. But the most important thing is that all I do, for me, the goal is I just sit here and focus on marks. Sometimes I do them in different ways. I just let it be intuitive and I don't overthink it. I don't overthink the colors. I just grab random colors. You'll see a lot of this type of thing in my art, and this is what it comes from. It's the silliest little thing, but it works for me. And the point too, I think, is that not everything works for everybody. You just kind of have to find what works for you. And so trying out other people's meditative processes for how they slow down is a way to finally figure out where you're at and what you like. And it changes for me. It's not always this, but a lot of times it's this. I just really enjoy the mark making of it. And just the zoning in and not overthinking anything. And what's funny is that these make the best pieces in my journals. Like when I need a filler of something, it's so nice just to have these little scraps of background pieces that I can use in collage, or I can put behind words, or use it to help accentuate a focal point. But and the cool thing about it is while I'm doing this, I'm not even thinking about that. I never know what they're going to be used for. I just know that they'll be beneficial at some time in my art. And at the same time, I just get to slow down and enjoy myself. I could sit here and do this for hours. I also wanted to talk a little bit about self-care. When I was younger, I had no concept. I just didn't understand the importance of it. And I remember one time, one of my friends said, if you don't slow down, you're going to be the recipient of help. She said that's the thing that always keeps her focused on her self-care, is that she doesn't want anyone else to have to take care of her because she didn't take care of herself. And I loved that. There's a few things that have really helped me on my self-care journey. And one of them was when I was listening to the Dalai Lama, and he's talking about, sorry, the trash guy's outside. He was talking about, well, was it him or was it, well, it might have been him, when he was talking about how when Buddhist monks come to you know what, don't quote me, I might have just read this in another book, because but anyways, it was about Buddhist monks and how when they go to the monasteries to serve, or whatever they're called, they go there to serve, and when they show up, the first thing they're taught is self-care and self-love. So they're not allowed to help anyone until they truly understand the importance of serving themselves, because the energy that transfers whenever you really love yourself and take care of yourself, when you give to somebody else, is more dynamic. And I believe this wholeheartedly. I feel like when you are taken care of and then you take care of others, the energy is so different. It's better, it's magnified, it's all the things. And one thing that I do whenever I'm really feeling a need that somebody needs some care and I just don't have it in me to give, is I just say a prayer, or if you don't pray, if you just kind of talk to the universe and just say, blessed that this person is taken care of, that somebody's in their path that can help, because I'm not in a place to help, but I know there are people out there to help. Just sending out a prayer that they're taken care of, because at this time you are just unable. I remember whenever I lost my son, I was looking at my family full of grief, and they needed me, and I had nothing to give. And I remember telling my daughter once, I feel terrible because I have nothing to give anyone else. I feel like I'm just empty right now. I have nothing to give. And she said, Mom, don't you realize that we're all feeling that way? It's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. We all are in the same place. We're just going to have to work our way through it. We're not going to be able to give as much as we used to just for a minute. Like, it'll pass. And I think we're still in that phase a little bit, but I love that she understood, but then also that I had the thought process to just say, I don't have a lot to give right now. But just know that I love everybody, and you are in my thoughts and prayers. It's just physically I'm struggling. And to have kids that and family members that completely understood was big. But also I think in that my daughter knew that she didn't have enough to give anyone either. So she had to kind of take care of herself for a minute and focus on her needs for a second just to get herself regrouped. It was a difficult time in our lives, and the world goes on, but we don't. Like, we still are sitting in it. And just recognizing that was a big deal. And so in times when you are grieving or you're struggling with something, is a time to really focus on yourself, but also knowing the importance of putting yourself first and taking care of yourself always will benefit you in those times, because all the self-care and things that I had done in my life had really prepared me. And when I say this was not always the case with me. I wasn't always really good at this, but in the last 5 years, I have really worked on it. And because losing my son wasn't as devastating as it could have been, because, I mean, it was bad. I'm not going to lie. It was painful. But I had filled my bucket up enough that whenever it drained, I still had the clarity from having my bucket full. So I knew what I needed to do to get better and to feel better. And this is a constant struggle and journey for me. It's not something that I can say that I'm completely through it and I'm good. It's a constant struggle. I have to really make sure that I'm tapping into my feelings. I call it identifying any rubs, things that are bugging me, like identify it because it's not going to go away. When I'm grieving, I have to, if I'm out in public and I feel a wave of grief, I just promise myself, like, I need to get through this moment, and then I'll get to a safe place to grieve, and I'll fully feel this emotion that I'm feeling, if it's still there and still needs to be heard. Because sometimes it doesn't need to be heard. It's just like this fleeting moment, and then I'm fine. I had one yesterday where I was looking at a picture of my son and his family, and he had this sweatshirt, and I'm like, did we get him that sweatshirt? And I'm like, oh, we did buy him that sweatshirt. And I remembered the time that we purchased it. It was my daughter and my son and I had got him that sweatshirt at some point. And I can't remember. And it's bugging me that I can't remember the exact timing or moment when we bought it, but I know that we did. And so anyway, so it was tripping me up, and I'm like, why am I so bugged by this? And it's just because I just want to hold on to every moment. I want to remember everything. And so I was putting a little bit of pressure on myself. And so I was like, okay, you need to relax. You need to go easier on yourself. This is not healthy. And so I have those moments, but then I'm familiar with self-care, and I know when I need just a little bit more. I need a little bit of forgiveness, grace, love, understanding. And a lot of times I have to give it to myself. I can't look for this to be given on the outside. I have to give it to myself. And when I give it to myself, there's this boundary that's created that other people give it to me too. I don't have to ask for it. It's just there because I've created this pathway that allows for it. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I really, really hope that you guys take what I'm saying to heart and just really make sure that you're taking care of you, loving you, so that you are able to give all that you give to everyone else. Know that you're in my heart, and I'm so happy you are here. I am so grateful for the community that that I'm in. Like, I'm so grateful for it. Have a beautiful, beautiful day.